Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. One of my favorite series, of course, is with one of my besties, Yvonne Sandoval, is here with Leverage 365. Today's Top of Mind Tuesday on the TED Show, and today we're going to talk about telling your story. Speak your why, not your how. So welcome, Yvonne. How's it going?
I am doing awesome, thank you. Just recovering, as we were talking about before the show. The RE/MAX R4 convention was in town last week, which was a great time. 2,000 agents from across the United States and the world, actually. Japan. I saw Italy. They all gathered at a capped capacity, 2,000 people at the Orlando Marriott World Center. And this is a convention that usually has about 9,000 people. They had 2,000 this year, but they did announce, which is all good, that next year they have already secured Vegas with the no cap, looking to see at least 9,000 to 10,000 people at the convention next year.
Well, praying we're all vaccinated or whatever your choices are by then.
Absolutely.
So we can get back to even more normalcy. I'm so happy that they were here. It looked like it was lots of fun, but also super educational. And so I know it was a good time because I love those kinds of interactions and networking you don't get any other time during the year, but at conventions like that.
It was great. And
I love it. All right. So Top of Mind Tuesdays. This is good. I don't know the answer, so I'm glad you're going to educate us. Why? Telling your story, why you should speak your why and not your how. Where did this come from?
Well, a lot of people, and I talked about this in another class I do, a networking class, is that when people meet you, they ask, the first question they ask, especially at networking, is, what do you do? So that's really, the how of things. And we want to get away from that. And there's two people who are champions of this, and it's John Maxwell as well as Simon Sinek. Yes. So they have great insight into why you should not be telling people the how of what you do, but really the why of what you do. And a lot of the correspondence and things going out in your business, whether it's emails or it's postcards or it's text messages or just in person, your communications has to not be centered around the how. It has to be centered around the why. So today we're going to.
I love this, and I'll tell you, we've talked about it so many times. One of my pet peeves is, and this is an example of the how, is when somebody comes up to me and before they even know my name, gives me their business card.
I got to talk about that too. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably on a slide it's down there, but that is like pet peeve number one. Well, there's a whole list, but I feel like then all you're doing is shoving what you do and you're not even trying to get to know me. And so we're not talking about the why in that, we're talking about the how. And that's just an example for me.
Absolutely. I love it. And also it's really funny you brought that up because I want to speak to all realtors out there about what's going on recently. What's going on now is, especially with the RE/MAX people, and others, when you meet someone and you're telling them, no, I only have an electronic business card. Now, I have an electronic business card. I am totally for it, but I'm going to tell you the problem. When you give someone an electronic card and the next day I want to remember who I met, I have no idea. Because
none at all. For the record, none. No idea.
Yeah. So the old-time paper cards, why I don't believe they should ever go away, is because I can look at that card and say, because there's a face on it, and say, oh my God, that's the girl that I had the conversation with about Rhode Island. And then I can put notes on the back of the card. So I've come up with, at least for those of you out there who are just never going to give up your electronic card, which is a pain in the neck. It takes 20 minutes for us to figure out how to get it into your phone. Take a screenshot of that card that you just put into your phone, and that screenshot becomes the business card that you're going to be able to at least remember tomorrow who it is that you put into your contacts. because, and I'm also going to I'm trying to work on something that will actually make that happen for you. Because, solutions come from problems or from challenges. So that was a huge challenge for me over the last week, meeting all these agents who all they wanted to do was give me their electronic business card, but I will not remember who you were the next day, so I can't reach out to you, and nor can you reach out to me. You won't remember me. So I need to come up with a system.
I love it.
I'm working on that.
All right.
Cool.
What are we diving into today?
We're going to start with the first slide is going to be really a John Maxwell story that I've broken down into one slide. And this John Maxwell story speaks to exactly what we're talking about today. Speaking your why and not your how. So, John Maxwell talks about this bricklayer story, and you may have heard of it. It's basically when, a man is walking down the street and he comes across 3 bricklayers. And he asks the first bricklayer, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm laying bricks." That's the how. That's what he's doing in the moment. The second bricklayer is asked the same question. He says, "I'm putting up a wall." So that's a little more descriptive of what the action is. But the third bricklayer, when asked, he responds, "I'm building a cathedral." So I want to apply the same theory of how you should be communicating, because it is all about communication as a realtor. So the next slide is going to be like a realtor version of that story.
I want to talk. It's the same as it reminds me a little bit of there's a parable or something where there's 2 gentlemen in the hospital. One's blind and one, it's perception. Why would you not, something either Maxwell said or somebody said, Simon might have said it, is that instead of waking up and saying, "I have to," you wake up and you say, "I get to." And it's about that framing again. So those 3 people just frame things so differently, and I guarantee you that their life is reflective of that.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's really what we're trying to get across in today's top of mind. If anything, if the people watching can grasp the reason that your communications is so important, is because the perception is what makes your business, how people perceive you. So a real estate equivalent to me is when I ask someone what you're doing, they sometimes say, "I make money." For some reason my little graphic didn't translate well, but that's okay. And then some people say, "I buy and sell homes," which is a little more descriptive, yes. But what the best agents that I've met and the ones that I gravitate to work with is the ones who answer the question this way: "I help people gain financial freedom and provide their families shelter." So that is what that does, is lets people know that what your mission is. You should be communicating your mission in everything that you do. When someone comes to me and says, "I've been asked this all last week for 4 days straight, what do you do?" Since I'm not a real estate agent and I'm at a real estate convention. And I'll tell you, I was one of the only vendors and walking around meeting people. I literally met no one else other than myself. And when people would ask me what I do, I would say, "I help agents achieve top of mind status with their database of contacts." Nice. I have that down pat. I know my 11-second elevator pitch, and mine's actually 6.5 seconds. I know what it is that I do. It's about helping others achieve top of mind status with their database of contacts. So you need to also, as a real estate agent, don't tell people I make money. Don't tell people I buy and sell homes. No, you have a mission, and this is what my mission is: to help people gain financial freedom and provide their family shelter.
Yes.
So finding your why, and this is really incredibly important. Simon Sinek as well, he has something we're going to speak about right after this, and it's all about leading with your why. So that's exactly what I was doing at this convention, is leading with my why when asked. So, to identify and express your why will build relationships. It'll help you to stay top of mind, and you need to begin by answering 3 basic questions. And that goes into the next slide, which is...
I'm behind the scenes. Hold on.
No worries. with Simon Sinek, he came up with the concept of, and you may know this, especially if you follow him, is something called the golden circle. And the golden circle is the what, the how, and the why. So he speaks that when people lead with communicating their why, and leading by why is going to help you to build your strength with your business, with other businesses you work with, and with your clients. You communicate what you do, and then talk about how you do it, and then communicate your why you do it, and then the how you do it and the what you do it comes secondary.
Love that.
And especially, and he says now in the next slide, he speaks about this, and real estate is exactly how I outlined it. The why is your purpose. What is your motivator? Okay, when you lead with that, what do you believe? So that's, and I speak about this in my business for my clients. I always communicate their mission, their vision, their value, and their purpose. I've been saying this for years. This is why people work with me. It's because their campaign is going to always lead with their why. Then the circles build outward. How? What's your process? The specific actions you've taken to realize your why, or to realize what it is that you're doing for helping people achieve top of mind status with their database of contacts, or helping families achieve financial freedom and find shelter. So what does that process look like? That's the second thing you communicate. You don't communicate that first. And then your what is the result. What is it that you do, what you do, and the result of that why, and you show proof. So all of these posts and all these communications that are going out by real estate agents of how many homes they sold, and what their what their commission was, and how much money they've capped, all of that, that's the proof of your why and your how.
Let me ask you about your why. Your motivation, I get. The what do you believe? Will you just expand a little bit on that? Because I don't think you're saying, what's your political beliefs? What's your religious beliefs? You're talking about what you believe that motivates you and drives you. So is it a good idea to include all that stuff, or should we stay away?
Well, what Simon Sinek defines as starting with your why is that you explain your purpose and the reason you exist, and the reason why you behave the way you do. That's exactly, I'm reading actually from the Golden Circle from the book. So his theory is that successfully communicating the passion behind the why is a way to communicate with the listener's limbic brain. So actually on our next slide,
I'm on to it. Here we go.
I actually break down. This is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. So this is it. Successfully articulating your why is a very impactful way to communicate with other humans. It defines your particular value proposition and inspire them to act. You communicate your why, and it taps into the part of the listener's brain that influences behavior. Okay, so that is the lymphatic part of your brain. So this is like, he's getting to a physical reason why you need to communicate your why. So everybody has a different one, and every client I work with, I do an hour-long interview with them, and that interview always starts with, why do you do this? And then by knowing what their background is, maybe that their dad was a realtor, maybe their grandmother was the first woman who went to draftsman school at the college in which that she graduated, and that motivated the person who's now a realtor to work in real estate because she loved design, because her grandmother was a draftsman, for God's sakes. Okay. So knowing this background and knowing your why and communicating it is the strongest value proposition that will differentiate you and from others. And this is all, I'm actually taking this from Simon Sinek. He really, really wants you to lead to that. Now, the how is the second, working outward from your why. The how factors may include your strengths or values that differentiate yourself from the competition, but show your commonality with your audience. So your how is going to communicate that commonality. So your messaging will communicate with that part of the brain that governs behavior and emotion. So when people want to hear the how of what you do, that's going to, so maybe you work with charities. Maybe I work with an agent now who's Guardian ad litem. And because she works with Guardian ad litem and she's super passionate about it, that is part of the how that she gets, that she helps families.
We need to get her on the show.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's huge. It's these are the people that I work with because we all understand that Sinek is right. He has it right on the head. And then the last part of the circle is the what. I'm sorry, the why. The what. Yeah, I said it right the first time. The what messaging only engages the neocortex of the brain. Okay, that's the part of the brain that's rational. And this is like, and I want to say that's what men use all the time. Women are not, and I hate to say we're not irrational, but we can gravitate more to the why. We understand that we have to let people know, who we are, that emotional aspect. The part of the brain that works upon this what has less of a driver of decision making, okay, than the limbic part of the brain. Well, the why and the how reaches better. So, we really need to remember this golden circle and start with the center, which is making sure that you're letting people know what that why is. Everything else will come from that, and it's less impactful as we go out from the circle. So this is an example for a realtor. They're asking me, well, I don't know what that means to let people know what my why is. Well, here it is. Simply an email or a postcard or a video, whatever the heck you want to do to communicate your why, but you need to do it. So this is an email that's for Kim and Amanda. This is from Remax Exclusive Collection. And they're talking to their audience about their why. That's it. I mean, as simple as that. These things that go out, your communications from your business, this is what people are going to, if you use the golden circle method, you're going to start with that why, and you're going to let people know why they get up every morning and they do what they do. Each one of them is different. They each have a different reason for helping people find shelter and financial freedom. So,
and don't you think? I know there's another slide or two.
Yep.
Don't you think that people respond more when they know your why? We talk about this on the show. We've talked about it a million times. People really have to get to know you a little bit, guys, before they're going to buy into you. They've got to know there's the commonality. They've got to understand more than just, you're a real estate agent, I need to sell my house or buy a house. It's so much deeper than that.
Yeah, that's what the circle, the golden circles, that's what you do. Remember, what's the furthest from out of the circle? That's the furthest thing that's on the circle. So the what you do resonates the lowest. The why you do at the center is the most resonation, the biggest bang for your buck. So that the more that the folks get around to seeing your sense of mission and purpose, and I call it mission, vision, value, and purpose, the more they can get to rally behind you. And successful, this is actually from Simon Sinek. Successful people and organizations express their why they do what they do rather than focusing on the what they do. That is actually his quote. So I really want people, and as a matter of fact, in the slide prior to this with Kim and Amanda, there's a quote on there, and I put quotes in all of my communications from my agents. That quote is from Simon Sinek. And because they were the ones who told me that that's one of their mentors. So in their database campaign, I put in Simon Sinek and a video from him and some other writings from him, because it speaks to her, Kim and Amanda, and it speaks to their business. And if you get to know their why, then you can rally behind them and you will work with them. So this is really not rocket science, but it does have science to it. What you're communicating has to always be your why and not your how, and your what very, very low. So think of the golden circles and use that in your communications.
Well, and honestly, real life, you and I run into a ton of millions of people, I feel like, on a daily basis. I'm not exaggerating. And I feel like people remember us because we spend so much time talking about our why, whether it be on Real Estate Unhinged or here, or we talk about that. And so sometimes I trade that. I'd rather them like me and love me and then get to know what I do than knowing what I do and me having to fight to get them to know me. I think that is your why is just everything. When somebody comes up and that's the only thing they can speak about, and I have real estate friends. I love you all, but you tend to speak a lot about real estate and only real estate. So when we're in a social setting or a network setting, if the only thing you know how to talk about is the business, you're missing out on a whole bunch of people that just checked out when you started going into business and didn't answer a basic question like, where are you from? Or how did you meet your wife? Or I don't know, what do you believe? Which is one of the questions. So I want to encourage people, you have to get out there and you have to be vulnerable and authentic, and it will drive up your numbers. I promise you it will.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm reading from his book, and it says, and this I love this. Everything he says is a golden nugget. And he says that a lot of critics actually say that the golden circle model is actually just reflecting passion, and reflecting people's passions is something that we accept is genuine and authentic. And he says that expressing your commitment and enthusiasm authentically is what inspires others rather than the manner in which they express themselves. But some critics argue that Sinek's theory implies that humans don't use their reasoning abilities at all when making decisions. And of course, that's debatable. But yes, you can put all the facts and figures out there that you just capped, and that you sold a home for over $20,000 more than asked, and those are all facts, right? And those are all the what. That's the least resonating part of the circle. But if you work and you go inward and you really lead with the why, and then outwardly, yes, you still do the to others, but at a lower percentage, you will see that people will turn their enthusiasm and their passion to you. So, I mean, I just love the whole idea. It makes it so simple. And that graphic, I hope, at least the golden circle, people will remember when they're going to write a social media post, or they're going to go write a communication piece. Yes. And that communication piece, and we talk about this, to be top of mind, needs to be in multiple modes of communication. Yeah. Your emails, your postcards, your text messages, your direct messages, your, everything that you could possibly do to communicate needs to have this applied. Start with your why, then go to your how, and then go to your what.
Fantastic. All right. What's the best way for them to find out more and reach out to you, Yvonne?
Well, they can reach me at getleverage365.com. You can always text me at 407-915-8000 or call me if you'd like. And just know that I'm doing a lot of classes, upcoming classes. So the week of April 12th, I have 5 classes. So every single day I am going to be on the road doing a class. So if you can't make it to one of those 5, we'll be doing more. I know me and Ted are working together coming in April. So let's you come out, get some education, enjoy being around people, and communicate your why.
Love it. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Stay top of mind. You know how important it is. If you have questions, reach out to me. Obviously, you know how to reach me, or go to getleverage365, or you can find Yvonne. She's very accessible. Thank you for sharing that. It was really, really good. I loved it. I love this topic. All right, guys. See you next week. Everybody have a good